Okay, we're back, we're live, we're here. I'm Jay Fidell, we're here on Community Matters, and we have the honor of a special guest today, Michele Saito. She's the president, the relatively new president of DTRIC Insurance. Welcome to the show, Michele.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
So tell us who you are,
okay,
and how you got to this place, how you got into insurance, what you did over the past X decades. Okay. And how you made your move into DTRIC.
Okay, so I'm a local girl, so born and raised here, and been in the insurance industry now for 30 years, so it's been a while. So I'm actually by trade, I'm a certified public accountant, and I kind of stumbled into the job. So when I was working for, back then I'm gonna date myself, I was working for Arthur Young, and someone told me that there was a job opening with this tiny company that was growing. And so I said, why not? You know, I don't know if I want to do public accounting all my life. So that company happened to be owned by AIG. And so that's how I started my career, and I kind of moved up the ranks. I started as an accounting manager for the company, and then took over as president. And DTRIC is where my recent stop, and hopefully my last home.
Okay, okay. You know, my family was in insurance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like forever. In the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company.
Oh, okay.
And my father had a brokerage called Yorker Brokerage way back when.
Okay.
And I used to work on Saturdays in his office, help him out.
Okay. You know, we always laugh in insurance. We say people stumble into insurance. You know, I think we have to change that. In fact, the industry has just started up a certificate program out at West Oahu College. So I think that's good. Yeah, to actually prepare people that might have a passion for insurance. I know that sounds interesting, but you know, to get them ready for it and get them into the industry, because we have a lot of, how would you say, seasoned people in the business. So we need to find some way of injecting new blood.
Well, it's taken a bigger role in our business lives, don't you think, in the past, say, 30 years?
Yeah.
When I went to law school, I don't think I took a course in insurance, and there wasn't much discussion of it. But then when I started practicing, all of a sudden, insurance became very important.
Yeah.
Insurance defense and business insurance, dealing with landlord-tenant issues and, you know, business relationships that required insurance. And all of a sudden, you know, it was on your radar, and it had to be on your radar all the time.
Yeah, and I think what's the tough thing about insurance is it's not an easy thing to understand, because it's really a delivery of a promise, right? A promise that will pay a claim if it's there. And so I think because of just the difficulty of understanding it, I think sometimes insurance is not always looked on favorably, you know. So it's, you know, we need a lot of work to do to get people to understand.
The public probably has issues when they interface on a claim. Right, don't you think? So if I have some loss and I want to go to my carrier that I've been paying premiums to for X years, and my carrier is now going to shave my loss down or terminate my coverage because I made a claim, you know, then they come away feeling, ooh.
Yeah, and you know, I won't say that there aren't those instances, but really what we're there for are those large losses, right? When you get into those, you know, there are those $1 million losses that when we buy insurance, we're putting money into that pool so we can insure, you know, we can insure the masses and make sure that we can take care of those claims when it does happen. But yes, I know there are some very unfortunate incidences where people feel like, you know, when they do have a claim that they weren't treated right, treated fairly. So, you know, I think as an industry, we're working very hard to make sure people can understand, so people feel good about, you know, the product that we provide, because it's so intangible.
It's all about reliability, credibility, it's the rock, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's, you know, it's about, well, in large part these days, somebody is telling you, you'd better get the insurance. You know, if I'm a tenant in this building, I'd better get the insurance. It's required in my lease. If I'm driving a car, the law requires me to have insurance. If I'm, well, under Obamacare, I better get insurance too. you know, and it's for a good reason in our society. It's to equalize the playing field so that, you know,
Or
you don't have
just-
one event that ruins your life.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, most people couldn't probably afford, you know, that one claim if it's a big one, right? So insurance kind of spreads out the cost on many so we can continue to still be in business when we run into that claim or that incident,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
hope you never have a claim, but,
Yeah,
you know, the world is
right,
like,
you know.
sometimes you have a claim.
That's right. You know, it happens, exactly, you know, and we don't like to see skyrocketing premiums after that happens. You know, I think insurance allows us to keep a little bit of that equilibrium and balance. You know? Yeah.
So, but, you know, so you come into it as an accountant, and I think that's interesting. It's probably a really good, you know, if I asked you to tell the kids out there whether they should study in order to go into insurance and be a president like you would tell them you should study accounting because you need to know how all of that works. You can't not know about that, right?
Well, you know what, it does help. It does help, but, you know, I will say that for, I would say maybe half of my career, I did other than accounting, and I was very blessed because accountants, we tend to like the comfort of knowing and being in control of what we do every day. But I think there was a point in my career where, this is when I was working for AIG, where my boss from New York came down and he kind of said, you know, there are some of you that have been doing the same thing day after day. Maybe you should think about doing something different. And I thought, I think he's talking to me. You know, I've been doing it for like 10 plus years. I've been running the accounting department. So I said, okay, fine. And so I volunteered to run our, some of our operations, which was the call center and the distribution center. And let me tell you, Jay, it was quite an experience, you know, to kind of let the, you know, they always tease us, the bean counters out of their room to do something different. But it was a great learning experience with me. I think you learn to work with the people and make sure that you can let them do their job for the customer, get you a lot more customer focused. I think, you know, being in accounting, sometimes you lose a little sight of that because you don't have to interface with the customers. But
it strikes me that you get emancipated from earlier times when maybe bean counting was more, you know, involved more people and was a greater percentage of the way that things worked because of the computer. Because it's all been mechanized over the past, what, 20 to 30 years. And so much of the bean counting is done by computer that it can emancipate you into doing better work in the interface with people.
Yeah, I mean, what's been fascinating for me, especially in the insurance industry, is, you know, I think they call it the data mining, right? All the data warehouses where we're able to collect the information. You know, it just helps us to better provide the products and the pricing around the products because of that information. So that's really, I think that's really revolutionized, you know, the industry and let us be a little bit more efficient in what we do and price things properly, you know.
So. But let's talk for a moment, just a moment, as a point of curiosity with me, is about underwriting, because computers are going to help you underwrite also.
Yes.
You build in some rules, make a program, and come up with, you know, a price for that product, and so forth. And then, you know, you live or you fall on the quality of that underwriting. If you underwrite wrong, you're going to be underwater. If you underwrite right, you make a profit. How do you do it? How does that happen?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret about the industry. You know, I think for the industry, we've tried very hard to, you know, keep prices low for the customer. There's a lot of competition. I think free enterprise works very, very well in insurance. So the prices stay very low. But as a result, I feel, this is just my personal opinion, that as an industry, we haven't reinvested in the business. So you see a lot of old technology. The larger companies that have scale on them have been able to reinvest because they just have the economy of scales, but you do have the smaller companies, you know, I will say DTRIC is one of them, that have not had that kind of economy of scales to constantly reinvest in the technology. And so, you know what, we don't have all the latest, greatest technologies at our fingers to do some of the things that I described. We do our best with what we have, but there can be so much more. And like I said, I think it is the beginning of a revolution for the industry to make better use of, the technology and the data being made available to it. So I'd like to hope that we continue to see.
You're giving me a window on a discussion in our next segment, Michele. Namely, what are your aspirations as the president of DTRIC? I'll ask you that question in a minute or two when we come back from this break. That's Michele Saito. She's the president of DTRIC. Recently, how long ago was it?
A little over a year.
Okay. And we're here on Community Matters. We're talking about, let's see, the good word on insurance. We'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Keli'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute and host on Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the ThinkTech Hawaii broadcast network. Ehana Kako means let's work together. Think of the sad alternative, let's not work together. Here in Hawaii, with all of our diversity and the richness of the people, it's important for us to come together around issues on the basis of what's right and what's good and what's going to serve the common good. And that's what we try to do at Ehana Kako. Every week, we interview movers and shakers, people in government, business, and other sectors of society to talk about how to create together a better government, economy, a better world here in Hawaii that can bless the rest of the world. I thank you for your attention to ThinkTech Hawaii, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on the ThinkTech Hawaii Broadcast Network. We're Ehana Kako, and we wish you well. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here with Michele Saito. She is the president of DTRIC Insurance here in Honolulu. The show is Community Matters, and we're talking about the good word on insurance here in Hawaii. So, what a great opportunity for me and for our listeners to get to know a CEO, or rather a president of an insurance company, and be able to ask you this question. I really appreciate that, Michele. Thank you.
Oh, no, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. I don't think there's many of us insurance people that they let out and talking freely on TV.
This is great. So tell us about the company now that you're running. How big, how big and how deep, and what's its connections?
Sure. So, sometimes I think DTRIC is kind of the best little kept secret in Hawaii, because even when I went to interview with them, I did not realize what they did. I think when you think of DTRIC, a lot of people say personal auto and the green-haired dude, right? That's kind of what I remembered. But starting, what I found was something very different. We actually do about $70 million in written premium. Interesting enough, most of it is commercial. I would say 70% of the business that we write is commercial insurance. We underwrite some very large accounts, wonderful reputation. I'm going to do a little plug for my people delivering quality service. So that's kind of what we're all about. I know we got to work a little bit harder.
Where are you located?
So we're in the Pan Am building on Kapolani.
Sure.
Okay.
On the ground floor there?
No, actually we're on one of the top floors.
Okay,
so
better.
Yeah.
And if I want to sign up, do I come to your office or do I just get online?
Okay, so our primary distribution method is through our partner agencies. So generally, you can go to one of our agencies and talk to them, and they can hook you up with us.
Name one or two.
If I do that, I'll get in trouble.
Unfair.
We have 30 of them.
Okay. If you name one and then 29
Oh,
of you.
I'll have 29 very unhappy partner agencies.
They're all kind of competing anyway, aren't they?
Yes, they are. But you know what? I mean, chances are, if you know of one, chances are we have an appointment with them that they can put their business with us.
So you go to them. And are they going to be online, or do I go to their office?
You know what? I'm sure that each probably is different in how you interface with them. So if you know of an agent or a broker, you just plug into them. And normally, actually, what they do for you is, to be fair, they will take a look at your needs and place you with a company that can best fit your needs.
So they represent lots of lines,
yes,
lots of companies.
A lot of different companies, and we each kind of have our niche, what we think we do well and what we promote. So that's what and the partner agencies, of course, work for all these different, or work and place business with all these different companies. So they will probably try to find the company that best suits your needs, and that's where they'll place your insurance.
So when I come in to see this agent,
yes,
and I tell him what I want, let's say I wanted insurance for the studio right here. He's going to say, well, I think DTRIC might be the one for you. So let me get you some quotes.
Yes, they'll get you multiple quotes.
okay? But he might also say, well, XYZ company, right, might be the one for you.
Yes.
And so then the quotes won't be the same.
Yes.
They're never quite the same. They're always a little bit different, at least a little bit different.
Of course.
Sometimes they're a lot
Very
different.
different, yeah,
And
could
it's up
be.
to me to make that matrix to see what is offered and how much each one of the items on the matrix, the products on the matrix,
Yes.
costs and so forth. Sometimes this is a head spin, you know what I mean?
It sure does. Well, and that's where the agent comes into play. They're there to help you walk through what the pros and the cons are. So they're your partner in finding the best place for your insurance, you know. And they'll explain to you if the prices are different, what you might get as an extra because of the price or whatever it may be.
So you want to be the guy who offers most value in the product, the insurance product.
Yes, that's correct.
At the lowest price.
Well, I think what we want to do is to provide the best value to the customer. You know, I will say for DTRIC, we're not always going to be the best price, but we do like to pride ourselves that we deliver great service. So for instance, for our commercial customers, you know, I will sit and talk to some insurers that will just rant and rave about our claims servicing. You know, our people, they said they love our people, they're very local, they can relate to their people, and you know, so that's what they like about us, you know, and they won't necessarily not pick us if we're not the lowest price, you know, they will pay extra for that service.
Because of the servicing, and that means claim servicing.
Yeah, yes, and all kinds, like even trying to find the right coverage for them. The one thing that I found so refreshing about DTRIC is because we're like a small local company, even though we're owned by a larger company. This company that owns us allows DTRIC to conduct business the way they see fit within the community.
That's a good thing.
Oh yeah, so you know, I find it refreshing that our people can really take a look at the customer needs and cater the service to them. And they'll make the exception if they need to make the exceptions, you know, sometimes and I worked for a national company for a long time. Sometimes you don't have that flexibility working for a large national company. A lot of rules, a lot of strict rules.
Which one was that? The one before you mentioned, was that the AIG?
So I've worked for AIG as well as for Farmers.
Oh, okay.
You know, but both are very large, very successful companies. I'm not definitely not knocking them.
So this is a different kind of model, though. This is, in other words, right now, DTRIC is owned by offshore, but they pretty much leave you alone
Yes.
to operate in the way you feel is best in the marketplace.
Yeah, because I think, well, we're owned by a Japan-based company.
Yeah.
And my sense, because they have companies around the world, and we report into an overseas divisions, there seems to be a strong appreciation of the culture for whatever country that they're doing business in. And so they respect that, you know, so they'll tell you when you're doing something that's a little different from what they're familiar with, but they always leave room to tell them, well, why we're doing something a certain way. So while they may not understand, for them, the bottom line is, you know, does it make sense for the business? Does it make the business better? And if it does, and I can make sure that I can convince them, they say, fine, then go ahead and do that. And I find that very interesting and refreshing. This is the first time I'm working for.
It's a trust thing.
It's a trust thing.
They trust you, you trust them, better relationship that way.
Yeah, yeah, you know, because it's interesting to see that sensitivity around the culture. I have not bumped into that in my 20 years.
This is good. Maybe it's a new model that will, you know, flower.
Yeah. And I don't know too if it's because for Japan the motivation has been, they have to become successful abroad for the country's economy to expand. I think they know that. I think their growth is in the overseas business and being successful there. And so I think they truly feel, or at least in my 1+ years of working with them, that they realize that success probably lies in the fact of letting the local people run the business and to let them.
Because at the end of the day, it's about having good relations with your clientele out there.
Oh, yes,
your customers. And,
yes, and they're very, very customer focused. I visited them last summer, and I was just so impressed as to, their customer focus and how they work with the customer. It is all about the customer, so,
That's
system.
great. So when you say service, then it's customer service, and it's in creating the insurance document or product, and giving the market what it wants, and then building it to suit the needs of the client, with the help of the agent, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, with the agent, yes.
Because it's through the agent that you have this conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. And then ultimately, it's on servicing claims. So let's take a look at that for a minute.
Okay.
How does it work in DTRIC or in any insurance company like DTRIC to service claims? How do you handle that? How does it work internally? How do you draw down on funds in order to pay the claim and all that?
Yeah, so this is going to be
We only
trying
have,
to,
we only
I
have
know,
20
I know. So in terms of servicing, to make sure that we service the claim properly, we do specialize. So you'll see in our claims department, you'll see pods of people specializing in certain types of, so we have a claims group or a claims team that just does personal auto. We have one that does workers' comp. We have a property claims person. So, they very much specialize because they understand the needs of the customer, so they can do that.
It requires expertise.
Yes, but the challenge with insurance just in general is when it's insurance is one of those where when we price the product or when we price your insurance, we're pricing it not with a known entity because we don't know what kind of claims you're going to have during the 1 year or how long it's going to take for it to get reported or for it to get settled. So there's certain types of insurance where it could take up to 5 years for the claim to settle and for us to log in our books that, okay, this is what the cost of the claim is, and then we can figure out if we made money for that particular year or not. So it's a very interesting
So it's iterative. You learn by your own claims experience.
Yes,
for the next underwriting and the next product.
That's correct. So we have actuaries that take a look at the data and they trend the data to let us know that this is what your history has looked like. If you write this type of business, we think that this should be the proper price for it. So that's where the insurance department comes in, and they kind of have access to all the different insurance companies, so they make sure that all of our prices look reasonable and fair to the customer.
So a quote is built on that specific insurance product for that specific client, right? It's not just cookies off the shelf. It's adapted. Am I right?
Well, you can to a certain degree. I mean, we are a very highly regulated industry, so there are a lot of rules within the industry itself. We have to do, our rates are all filed and needs to get approved. So I think, but there are other things that I think we can adopt to the customer needs, things like how we service the customer. And, like any company, you have certain procedures and rules for those servicing. But where we can change it a little bit is, even though we have a rule, kind of a best practice rule on how we service, if we feel that this may not be, it might be that 1% where this best practice rule doesn't work, we can go ahead and we can make that exception for the customer. So
the flexibility is possible.
Yeah, but we are limited within the
Right.
confines of the law.
And that's the insurance commission.
Yes, that's correct.
So,
that's correct.
okay, so I'm knocking at your door. I just tell you I had some loss of some kind.
Okay.
I file a claim. Do they still use the word adjuster?
Yes.
Okay. I talk to an adjuster, and the adjuster is my interface on the claim. And he wants information from me, and he decides he's going to pay all or some of my claim. Okay, how does it work inside the insurance company? I guess I understand that would affect my claims history. That would affect underwriting other similar claims.
Okay.
It would affect pricing going forward, because everything that happens is part of this underwriting actuarial process, right?
Okay.
Okay, but then how does it work when I make my claim, and how does he pay my claim?
So what he's probably going to do is check your coverages, what kind of coverage you have, and that is usually, if we have an unhappy person, that's usually where it comes into play, because they didn't buy enough coverage up front. And so that's where the sales people have to be very careful that they explain to the customer what the coverages are and to make sure they have enough coverage. Because where we get the Where we get the unhappy customer is where if they didn't buy enough coverage, we're not able to, we obviously won't be paying out more than they bought because, you know, that would not be a good equation for, you know, for everyone actually, because whatever we pay, everybody contributes to that pool for us to pay that claim. So it's not just one person that's going to,
right.
It's
the
the
lost
pool.
pool.
Yes, it's the pool. So, you know, I always tell, it's really cute in my past history, I actually have insureds that will come and call on me and try to share with me, you know, can't you make one exception?
And you have to listen to the sad story.
You know, and I do, and I tell them, you know, I want to do it for you, but you have to understand when I make that kind of exception, I go, it's the other customers that are really going to pay for that exception. Yeah. And I don't know if that's a fair thing to them, you know.
So it has to be fair to everyone.
Yes, it has to be fair to everybody. So, you know, that's something that we do. So going back to your question, so yeah, they'll probably check the coverages in their policy, and then of course they will settle the claim. But you know what, if whatever your policy says, if that's what you're entitled to, that's what you will get.
You know, something you said reminded me of, you know, I'm not practicing law anymore, but I have little anecdotal recollections of things. But it reminds me of something that I once understood to be, if you have less insurance than you should,
yes.
You know, if you should have, say, 100 units of insurance, and you only have 50 units of insurance, and now you have a claim, even though the policy might cover you, because you're uninsured, you only get part of it, because you should have been insured at the full 100, you know?
Okay.
So I think it's called co-insurance, no, co-insurance. It's underinsurance.
Yeah, now in auto, we do have that.
Tell me how that works.
So in personal auto, we do have coverages for underinsured motorists and uninsured motorists. So if you get in an accident and the person that hits you or is at fault doesn't have enough coverage to pay for your you know, your injuries or whatnot, those coverages, provided you picked up the coverage, will help to cover those claims. And there are a lot of people that when they're buying insurance, all they do is they go for the cheapest price.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so when you do that, you know, and again, this all works into the price of insurance, right? So we actually have those coverages to protect our policyholders, because we do know that there are a lot of folks out there that don't have the proper level of coverages or don't have insurance at all. I can't remember the percentage anymore, but it's a pretty significant percentage about how many people drive without insurance. So we want to protect our customers.
Okay, so here you are, you have these various products, you have the staff, you have the facilities at the Pan Am building, and you're in charge. Okay. What are the key points of your administration of the company? Okay. If I were to ask you, you know, what is your platform, so to speak, on running the company?
Now, before I go there, can I do one more plug? Or
Sure.
You know how I told you, like, if I don't talk about one, if I only name one agent, they're going. I also have a small call center. Not a whole bunch of our business is done through that, but that's where customers can call into us. So we also have that venue where, for auto insurance only, or for personal lines, auto insurance and homeowners.
They're
people
dealing
can
directly with you on that.
Yeah, they can call in directly, but it's a very small piece of our business. If I don't mention that, I'll have a little uprising at my company.
Here's a shout out to the call center.
Thank you. Okay, so going back to your question about what's my platform.
Wait, I got to take a short break.
Okay.
Something about the calls. Just 1 minute break, we're going to come back and we'll have another segment. Okay, this is Michele Saito. She's the president of DTRIC Insurance, and that is DITRIC. Okay, no K in DTRIC.
No K.
And here on Community Matters, we're talking about the good word about insurance in Hawaii. We'll be right back, you'll see.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevelin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We said we'd come back. We came back, Michele Saito and me. She's the president of DTRIC Insurance here in Honolulu, and we're talking about the good word on insurance here in Community Matters, and we have a photo, and I'd like to put it on the screen and see what it is. Michele, can you tell us what this photo is?
Okay.
It's about a call center, maybe?
Well, you know, there's a lot of our call center people in here, so thank you for letting me do that little segment on them. But this is, we do Adopt a Highway, so we do it every quarter, where we go up and we clean up the streets from, I think it's Fort DeRussy and all the way, partway Ala Moana Park. So we go ahead and we clean that up. So this is our group that goes out and we do that.
If I was driving down the highway, I wouldn't have any trouble seeing those shirts.
I thought the same thing when I got mine. You know, the marketing people do this, right? They put you in as bright colors as you possibly can.
Can't miss it.
But actually, this is just part of one thing that we're doing for a larger program. I think one of the things that I'd love to do with the company is, you know, DTRIC has a history of doing things in the community, but I feel like we can do more, you know, and in talking with the people since I've been there, there's just a lot of enthusiasm. I feel like it's bottled up energy to do things for the community, and so we put together a program called DTRIC Cares, and what we want to try to do.
Is that your new logo there? Oh, it says DTRIC Cares.
Oh, yeah, that's our new
Okay, there we
logo.
go. That's
Yeah.
okay. What does that mean now?
Well, you know what? It's just that we care about the community. We want to give back to the community. So I think a lot of the employees feel that's an important part of who we should be and who we are. So we'd like to do more of that. So we are putting together a lot of different opportunities for the employees to get out into the community and just make a difference for the community, because I will tell you on a personal level, I think the community has really done a lot for me. And so, you know, I always tell the people, you know, it's so important to give back to the community.
Yeah. Well, and that's consistent with what you said about the attitude of your holding company. You know, that they want to let you have discretion in this and let you be a local company, essentially,
Yes.
and do it the way you want to do it in order to be comfortable in Hawaii. And it's so important because, you know, I think, you know, see if you agree, over the years, you know, a lot of companies in Hawaii have been acquired.
Yes.
Some have been acquired by mainland holding companies that really don't care much about Hawaii and you know, do it offshore style. And that really doesn't work very well because Hawaii is really a local place. And so what you're doing, the arrangement you fashioned with your parent and with these employees is really the best possible thing you can have to deal with them, the employees, and the clientele.
And, you know, just to share, I think I had that experience in my former, one of my former companies. But you're absolutely right. And, you know, I think what really it is Hawaii's community and our culture, I think it's really hard for other, especially people on the mainland, to kind of put their arms around. We are a very tight-knit, close community. And while they always used to tell me, we understand, we get it, you know, I think you just have to live it to really understand and to embrace it.
People can feel it. Your employees can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you want them to be engaged. I mean, a company like insurance, a service company, you have to have them engaged if you want to have a working company. You've got to do that. So this is a way to get them engaged. This is, I guess, a big part of your program.
Oh, yeah. You know, so yeah, I personally feel very strongly about it. So I think when I got there and I introduced the concept to the people, a lot of enthusiasm. In fact, we've got another event coming up that we're putting together. It's to work with the Meal on Wheels folks. So we're going to go and pack lunches and then take the lunches to our kapuna. And it was so funny when we first put it out, because it was kind of, it was a brand new event. We wasn't too sure what the sign up was. And so when they released it, I have weekly senior management team meetings. So I got somebody in my senior management team goes, you know, Michelle, something's got to be done. By the time I got to sign up, all the slots were full. So they said, you're going to have to go back and open up the slots. And I went back and I said, what happened? They said, Michelle, it filled up in like a day, you know. But they said, we can only take so many people, and then it turns into chaos. So I said, great, that's good. We can do more events, and we should have great participation.
What was the other one? Something about a highway now?
Well, we do the Adopt a Highway.
Adopt a Highway,
but this one is the Meal on Wheels. So
Meals on Wheels, that's 2 programs already, right?
Yeah, so, and do we have another one? But there's a couple of other programs. We just did one with the Department of Education.
What was that?
It was called Drivers Operation, or whatever, Operations Excellent Driving. But it was just kind of to let the kids have real life situations where they're driving distracted. And of course the message is to create the awareness with the kids that, you know what, driving distracted is not good, you know, when they're on the cell phone. And so they actually let them do that. It was at the Aloha Stadium, so very contained, safe place where they were able to do that. So very impactful for the kids. But we do it along with Tesoro.
So you're really, I mean, it sounds to me like you're really a local company, that you have good relations with your employees, you have good relations with your clientele. It's playing the right elements. And I just wonder, are you the rule or the exception in your field of insurance?
No, I would say a lot of the other heads of companies here, I think it's something that we all believe in, you know, as a business community, that it is important to give back to the community, because that strengthens the community. And I think it's good. It's good for the economy. It's good keeping our kids here with jobs, if we can do that. You know, so it all comes into play.
Good quality of life for your people.
So, you know, I think you see that when you take a look. You see a lot of the companies doing that, getting, you know, engaging their people, getting them out, contributing to the community. I'll give a plug for Aloha United Way because I'm on the board. But
was that right?
Yeah, using.
We have a regular show with them, you know.
Oh,
we call it Aloha United We Stand.
Yeah, you know what? I will swear, if without that mechanism for people to give, I don't think people would give. They make it so easy for employees to give. So at DTRIC, we're probably going to start. We hadn't been doing anything with Aloha United Way, so we're going to do that this year. But it'll give a venue for our employees to pump some money into the community, and I know it's going to help some needy people, and that's important.
That's great. We all need that. Maybe that's a sort of a generational thing, sort of a generation of business people like yourself who are determined to give back to the community and connect everything up with the community for a better Hawaii, for the common good.
Oh, yeah.
This is great to have.
Yes.
So where do you see DTRIC going under your control?
Yeah, well, like anything else, you know, we want to get back on track to growth. We have some really exciting opportunities for us. You know, as I mentioned, we are owned by a very large, actually they're the 7th largest international holding company in the world. They happen to be based in Japan. But it gives us a lot of opportunity, because if they allow us to live in the best of 2 worlds, where we can operate more like a local company, but have the support and the resources of a very large company, I think that can be very powerful. And it could really, if we can unleash some of that here for Hawaii, I think it can help our company grow and then do great things for the people of Hawaii. So that's what I really would love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, where about the industry in general here? You know enough about it from your experience to know what the sea changes are there too. Where is it going? Where do you see it evolving to in the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, you know what? I think you brought up technology. I think technology will definitely play a role in where insurance goes. You know, I think like even for auto insurance, I think Google's trying to get into the action with that. So, you know, it's hard to, for me, I don't know if I probably need to give it more thought and put something, a projection down, but I do think technology will play a major role in changing the landscape of insurance.
It's funny, I mean, with insurance, you want it to be totally reliable. You want it to be like the rock. You don't want changes necessarily. I mean, computers and technology will actually make it more efficient, and therefore you can reduce prices. But aside from that kind of a change, I think people want it to be the same way now that it was last year, and the same way next year as it was this year, and so forth. You know. So I think that's what you're saying to me. I guess the question is, I mean, are we, when I say we, I mean the industry and the state at risk that in a sort of a meltdown as we had in, what, 2008 in Asia, would we be affected? Would our insurance industry be affected? Would there still be reserves, funds, and the pool of money that you talked about available to pay claims?
I think the answer is yes. You know, I was part of, I had a very, how would you say, I was kind of in the midst of that meltdown. I was working for AIG at the time. But I will tell you, with that AIG challenges that they have, I don't know if I want to call it a meltdown, but with the challenges that they had, nothing was wrong with the actual insurance piece of the company. Insurance is very highly regulated. We have a lot of rules that we have to follow. We have to keep certain surpluses or the cash, you know, invested very conservatively. The rules are how we invest them to make sure that we can pay the claims. Occasionally, you will have companies here or there that will, for whatever reason, they will not fare well. I think after Iniki, we had a company that did go under. But even then, the state has funds for that, where all of the other insurance companies are pitching in to make sure that those claims can be paid. So there's just
It's a state law.
Yeah, it's a state mechanism.
It's a reserve fund of some kind.
Yes.
Collaborative,
Yes.
collective fund.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the government has put in enough safeguards around the insurance industry to make sure that we can pay all the promises that we make and make sure we do good on them. So I feel very comfortable. Like I said, even for AIG, when we went through it for AIG Hawaii, you know, the one thing we tried to make sure people understand is we have way more money than we need to pay all the claims, so you don't need to worry.
Good.
But anyway.
Happy to hear that. You remind me of Bobby Pfeiffer, who was with A&B for a long time. And the thing about him is he cared about every employee in the company. He cared about every customer. He had personal relations with all of them. And that's the way you appear to me, Michele, that you're a very caring executive. You're sort of the generation of executive that will take us to the next level. So I know it's a little late, but congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Chief, for those kind words.
Wish you well, and thank you for coming on our show.
It's been a pleasure.
Aloha.
Thank you.